I'd like to welcome you to the March 10th, 2021 regular meeting of the Governing Board of the Chandler Unified School District. Mrs. Nye, could you please do our roll call?
Martin Houston.
Here.
Jason Pollock. Laura Bruner.
Here.
Lindsay Love.
Here.
Wolford.
Here.
Thank you. We are hoping that Mr. Olive will be able to join us via phone, but we aren't sure whether he's going to be able to this evening. We think he's having trouble. But if we may, so he may end up, you may start hearing a disembodied voice in the room here, and that will probably be him. So would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We will go ahead and begin with our routine business. We need to approve the minutes of the February 24th, 2021 regular board meeting and the March 4th, 2021 special board meeting. I have not gotten any additions or corrections to the minutes, so could I please get a motion for approval?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the February 24th, 2021 regular board meeting and the March 4th, 2021 special board meeting as presented.
Second. All those in favor, please. Because of there's been some difficulty with actually hearing everybody, so I will go ahead and I'm going to probably start doing roll call votes. So Mrs. Bruner? Aye. Ms. Love?
Aye.
Mr. Worth?
Yes.
Barb Mosden, yes. Next, we have approval and ratification of payroll and accounts payable vouchers. Could I please get a motion?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve and ratify payroll and accounts payable vouchers.
Second. Thank you. Moved and seconded, moved by Ms. Love and seconded by Mrs. Bruner. All those in favor, I will do roll call. Mrs. Bruner? Aye. Ms. Love?
Aye.
Mrs. Mosden? Yeah, aye. Mr. Worth?
Aye.
Thank you. Dr. Castile, it looks like we have some correspondence this evening.
We do, Madam President. This is a letter from Greg Stanton, Member of Congress. Dear Superintendent Castile, thank you for joining our Valentine's Day initiative this year and showcasing your students' gratitude and creativity. The handcrafted cards made so many in our community feel loved and appreciated and made their Valentine's that day that much brighter. I was blown away by the outpouring of support we got from Chandler Unified School District, and I look forward to continuing to work together as we navigate these challenging times. If I can ever be of service to you, please don't hesitate to contact me. Best of luck as you finish the rest of your school year, and thank you for all you do for your kids. We were invited to participate in a Valentine's Day initiative, and our schools just did a fabulous job. I don't know if you saw a lot of it on social media, but it was quite really nice, so I wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Dr. Castile. Our next is Reed, is it Ulick? Ulick, I'm sorry, from Basha High School. He's here to tell us what's going on at Basha High.
All right, good evening, everybody. Before I begin, I wanted to thank our governing board and Dr. Castile for inviting me back here to speak tonight. I have some really exciting stuff to share with you tonight regarding what Basha and our student government has been able to accomplish throughout these past 2 months since I last spoke here tonight. So what exactly have we been able to accomplish in this challenging third quarter at Basha? We opened in late January with our Basha student government attending the Arizona Association of Student Councils State Convention In a traditional year, this would be an in-person conference from all of the high school student governments from across the state. However, this year it was turned virtual. Our Stugo was lucky enough to get together in person over this 2-day event weekend and participate in this together, learn a lot of valuable stuff regarding student government and how to be a better student government for our school. On top of this, we were one of 12 schools across the state given the highest honor of Outstanding Council of Distinction, and one of our very own, Dylan Galvez, was named one of 3 AASC state presidents. This was the first state president we have had in Basha history, and so we're super proud of him, and it's a testament to the support he's received from the Basha community in running to be an AASC state president, and also his drive and passion for this organization. So we're super proud of him and our designation as the highest council of distinction for that. Next was our Valentine's Spirit Week. It's funny, Dr. Castile just mentioned Valentine's Day. Our Basha community did a lot of student engagement throughout this week. We held a Spirit Week, and we also had our Valentine's Grams fundraiser. The name of the game this third quarter has been creating innovative ideas that are creative and offer a COVID-safe way for us to build that student engagement, build that community profile throughout our school. And so we did this by selling these Valentine's Grams for $1. It came with a Rice Krispie treat and a gram, and for $5, it came with a rose, a Rice Krispie treat, and a gram. And so we sold these throughout the week at lunches and at conference, and on Friday, our student government delivered these grams to different classes. And in total, we were able to deliver 563 Valentine's Grams across our campus, which far exceeded our expectations and was a really great way to bring that Basha love together, metaphorically to speak. And it was just a great way to see that student engagement, that school spirit, that pride for being at Basha. It was a really fun week that we were able to incorporate this fundraiser with our Spirit Week. Next was our Basha Wish Week, which actually just happened last week. This is usually an annual event at Basha where our community raises money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. For those of you unaware about the Make-A-Wish Foundation, it's truly an incredible charity. They raise money for ill students within our local community to grant them once-in-a-lifetime opportunities while they're going through treatment to bring them happiness and encouragement. And so we set a pretty lofty goal as a school to raise $10,000. And the reason we set this goal was that $10,000 is the average amount to grant one child in our community a wish. And so I'm very happy to announce that not only did we surpass this goal by raising $12,809 as a Basha community, this is by far a Basha school record, and it's even more incredible that this happened in a COVID-19 year. We were able to almost double our previous record at Basha. And so I think this truly goes back to the benevolence of our school community. At Basha, our mission statement is benevolence, honor, and scholarship. And there was really no better way for our community to put this on full display than the generosity and compassion our students and family community showed just to raise this truly insane amount of money for such a great charity. This is probably what I've been most proud of throughout the whole year to see at our school as our student body president. Lastly, in the middle of third quarter, our Unified Sports program reached out to us about partnering with them to help them plan their Unified Track Meet. And so this actually happened on our campus just yesterday. It was not only our special education sports program, it was all of the schools around us came together on our Basha track, and we put on this really cool event. Our student government was there supporting these athletes, cheering them on. We also helped plan the event. We made posters, we made decorations, really making sure our athletes and surrounding school athletes had a great time and were able to feel special on the Basha campus. Lastly, for what we've done so far, I wanted to briefly mention our winter sports. Our sports coordinator, Jaden Ocampo, has done a very great job reaching out to our different sports teams on campus, asking them how, as a student government, we can help them, bringing them senior nights, giving them goodie baskets. And I know up until this point, our student population hasn't really been able to attend in-person games, but we didn't want the school spirit for our winter sport athletes to stop there. So a big emphasis in our student government we've placed has been keeping up that student engagement with these winter sports, keeping people involved, keeping their support up throughout our community. And with this, our girls wrestling team recently won the first ever AAA state championship wrestling meet last week. And we're very proud of them, and we're making sure to celebrate them on campus because, like I said, even though we haven't been able to attend these events in person, we've kept up that school spirit and kept supporting and promoting them. And lastly, I just wanted to mention our soccer and basketball team's playoff runs. Last night, our boys soccer team upset Chandler in the first first round of the playoff bracket, and so they're going to be playing later this week. I know our girls team right now, as I speak, are playing Perry in their soccer game, and our boys basketball team have their first playoff game tomorrow night at Highland. So we've done a really good job supporting them, publicizing those across our campus, and really just keeping people in the know about what's going on with our winter sports teams. So I think it's safe to say that we've accomplished a lot of great stuff so far throughout this third quarter as it kind of comes to an end. And so where are we taking this to make fourth quarter even better, to close out this school year even stronger? Our senior class president, Aubrey Savella, has been working on a senior giveaway and merchandise specifically for the class of 2021. A couple days ago, we got these senior-specific crew necks delivered to our school that are currently being sold at the bookstore. And along with this, she's been doing an excellent job reaching out to in-state colleges and universities, and they've been supplying us school apparel, merchandise that we're looking to give away to students on our campus that are planning on attending those schools next year, continuing that education, that engagement between our high school and colleges around us. Our biggest focus right now is on an event we're calling Movie on the Lawn. Tentatively, we are trying to push this through for it to be on April 9th. We have submitted the full proposal to district with all the COVID mitigation guidelines, the logistics of the event, and we're currently pending district approval on this in-person event. I think it's a really great opportunity for us as a school to have a COVID-safe event. The plan is that we would all be on the football field, socially distanced, masked, watching a movie on our football field. A great way to have a COVID-safe event for us to bond together. And I think I'm hoping if you guys, any of you have any pull here, that we can get that pulled through for us to have that on April 9th would be the ideal plan. But so we're working on that. I think it'd also be a great chance to have sort of that sense of normalcy as we enter that fourth quarter in a safe way. And with that, the last thing I wanted to mention was our modified prom. I know a lot of our school community was a little disappointed when the news came out that the physical prom dance was not going to happen this year. However, I did just want to say that as a student government, we do support that decision. We did not think that a school-wide prom was going to be a feasible event right now in the COVID-19 time we are in, but we are committed to planning these safe events, and that's why I mentioned Movie on the Lawn, because we do want to bring that sense of normalcy back to our school and bring those experiences to our school in that fourth quarter, but do it in a safe way that's not jeopardizing the safety of our community. And so the last thing I wanted to say tonight is just thank you to all of you and to our Basha community. It's been a really successful third quarter, and I wanted to specifically extend my thanks to you for making sure that we've been in the classrooms in this third quarter. Everything that we've been able to accomplish would not have been possible without us physically being in the classroom. And so as a community, we're grateful for that, and we're really looking to extend our momentum from all the great things we've been able to accomplish this third quarter into our fourth quarter, closing out the year strong and making it our best quarter so far this year. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Reed. We appreciate you updating us on Basha, and I really enjoyed your plug for the Movie on the Lawn for approval.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, and we'll see you again in a few weeks.
Yes, thank you very much. I look forward to being back.
Next, we will move on to our citizen comments, and I will first ask Mr. Terry Locke to go over our public comments that we received online.
Well, thank you, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Castile. Since our last board meeting on February 24th, we heard from 28 people who took advantage of our electronic method to provide citizen comments. The opportunity is promoted on our governing board page, allowing for the convenience of providing feedback remotely. This format enables the public an opportunity to provide feedback to board members in advance to give them time to process the information and ask questions of the district administration. We categorize the feedback this week by topic, this week the emails fall into the following categories. One is health and safety, mass mitigation and metrics. Number 2 is curriculum, and number 3 category is extracurricular activities. You have the submissions verbatim for your consideration. They're also available on the website for public review.
Thank you, Mr. Locke. We do appreciate you getting those to us early in the day on Wednesdays, so that, or even sometimes on Tuesday evenings, so that we have time to read them and really understand what our citizens are saying in our community and what needs we need to think about addressing. So thank you. Next, we have our in-person citizen comments, and tonight I have two individuals, so our individuals have 3 minutes. Mr. Roars, would you like to, you'll be first.
Thank you. Madam President, Madam Superintendent, staff, and board members, my name is Kurt Roars. I'm a parent in this district. We come here this evening to address the board and staff members on critical race theory curriculum and the 1619 project. During the comment section of last meeting, the teachers union president voiced her support for adding the 1619 project as teaching curriculum for CUSD students. And recently, the State Board of Education also released its guidance on the curiously hypocritical anti-racism curriculum. The 1619 project was first released by the New York Times editorial board, which generally describes a theory that the founding of this country was based on racism and slavery instead of the more historically accurate description of European people fleeing religious persecution in their own countries. It is generally regarded as leftist propaganda instead of credible historical analysis. Parents in this district, which I've had many conversations, are appalled at the attempt to push forth such a blatantly political and controversial document by the teachers union. Perhaps we should review Arizona state statute regarding this matter, ARS Title I, Section 602, the Parents' Bill of Rights. All parental rights are reserved to the parent of a minor child without obstruction or interference from the state, including the right to direct the education of the minor's child. All rights that parents identified include the right to access and review all records relating to the minor child, the right to direct the upbringing of the minor child, the right to direct the moral and religious training of the minor child. Please know this statute does not reference that the teachers union can abrogate any of these rights for any reason. In reference to the union president's comment, the district not be pushed off path by outside influences, I surely hope she was not referring to the parents as undesirable outside influences who oppose the union's political and social agenda. This is a clear violation of the Arizona statute as quoted above. The teachers union has no standing in these matters. I'd also like to submit in several Supreme Court decisions being held that the curbing of curriculum speech does not violate First Amendment rights intended for individuals. And further, the courts have held that the district, acting as agents of the state, have an obligation to prevent the creation of a learning environment that promotes hostility towards a certain race or sex, as both the 1619 project and critical race theory surely do. Therefore, exercising our rights as parents, we propose that the heavily biased and politicized curriculum such as this be
30
prohibited
seconds.
in the district and banned from classrooms and teacher training materials. The position of the teachers union has no bearing on this matter and should be disregarded. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mrs. Nash. Again, 3 minutes.
Good evening, Governing Board. I wanted to thank all of you for the vaccination pod that happened a month ago and then last week. I know we've had probably close to 60, 70% of our staff vaccinated, which has been incredibly helpful and setting some minds at ease. And also thank you for the extension of the COVID leave. I know for some families who still have loved ones affected by COVID, that's been helpful, and we've had some employees that have had to take advantage of that opportunity, so I just wanted to say thank you for that. But as we know, Governor Ducey has ordered all of our schools back in-person instruction, which we already have been. But we've also seen some laxed rules for the mask policy, and we are asking that we continue to stay the course at least through the end of this school year. We've seen the CDC come out and say that even wearing double masks is very beneficial and decreases your risk of spreading the virus and also contracting it. And we've just, again, rumors have been hearing that there are places where people are saying, like, you don't have to wear the mask, or you can take it off if you're both vaccinated, and so on. And we would just like to continue the same mask policy that we had from the beginning of the year. We amended it as the CDC had changed, but continue to keep that one as well. And then with spring break coming up, we know we see an uptick of cases as people start to travel and have a little bit more free time. So we would like to continue offering virtual meetings. I know some people are a little more comfortable meeting in person, but we still have people who are not vaccinated for a host of reasons. Maybe they've previously had COVID and you can get it again. Maybe they are breastfeeding, pregnant, whatever, they can't get vaccinated. So we should still continue to offer those virtual options for people and not be having in-person meetings in large number or small in confined spaces. And also continue all of our mitigation strategies, socially distancing when possible, cleaning, sanitizing, etc. And then just also urging our families to wear their masks, especially over spring break. Try to stay home as much as possible. I know we're approaching that 1 year mark, and it's hard when you haven't seen your loved ones, but
30
it's also
seconds.
really hard if you have to attend their funeral. And then lastly, as you saw today down at the Capitol, we've had a strong push back on the legislature from some really horrible legislation. And it would be great if we could see CUSD step out in front of that, where we have a tax on public education funding and putting restrictions on our educators. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate both of you coming out this evening and speaking with us. Next, we have our consent agenda. Dr. Castile.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, we have our out-of-state field trip pre-planning form from Hamilton High School. You give them permission to start their planning. The final approval does not come without a COVID-19 mitigation plan. That is approved by Dr. Gilbert or Mr. Narducci. Request approval of the monetary gifts generously donated in the amount of $19,007.12. We're requesting approval to increase the dynamic learning amount to $350,000 to cover the additional single course access licenses with the enrollment at Chandler Online Academy, and request approval to increase the Florida Virtual to $400,000 to cover the additional elementary and secondary software licenses due to the increase in the enrollment in our online academy. Of course, as you know, this was due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Second step, social emotional digital resource. The cost of the second step grades K through 8 multi-site digital program for 5 years is $209,233.33. This is funded through the textbook the textbook budget. I am so sorry. Hamilton High School, I might just have to take my glasses off. I'll probably do better. High School 7, ACP, which is now Arizona College Prep, the furniture and equipment in the amount of $686,954.33. This is standard furniture similar to what we've done at our other high schools. Contract renewal with the Chandler Education Foundation. Again, this is pretty standard, and Mr. Narducci goes through this in detail with our attorneys, and it meets all our expectations. Paternity leave policy, we modified that, allowing up to 6 weeks of leave if employees have leave available, our dads, and you saw this last time, so we're requesting approval. And human resources, employment, separation, and compensation.
Barb, I have a question.
Mr. Worth.
Dr. Castile, I've gotten so dated on the capital items. Can we put those in the future on the action item? Not necessarily questioning them, just I need to kind of get my hands around what we're doing nowadays, because I've really lost track of where we are, and I'm not questioning it. And then to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind pulling off the Chandler Education Foundation and putting that as an action item. I'm not opposed or anything. I need to see what we're doing. It's been many, many years, so I'm not clear everything that's going on in that world. So I realize I should have done this way before this meeting. So if you want me to just from the future do this, I will. But so I'd like in the future, just not these capital items. I don't want to pull those off, but I just like to understand. But I wouldn't mind talking or reviewing the Chandler Education Foundation, because I'm dated. Just trying to learn and understand.
Madam President, it's up to you. Do you want to pull the
Mr.
foundation one off? Or
Do you want to?
do you have some questions on it, Joel? Have
I
you-
guess the question is it going to cause a problem if we delay a meeting?
You want to discuss it in detail? Is that what you're saying? Or
I'd just like to, I may have questions that I'd
No,
like to ask.
I've met, Ms. Worth, no, I've met with the CEF president, the executive director, as well as their president and their board already. So they already have the contract as well. Met with the attorneys, and then it's no problem if we wanted to have that brought out, or I can meet with you individually, or however you'd like that done, or any board member would like it done.
Let's just meet individually, so
Okay.
we can leave it on agenda.
So you would.
Pretty standard,
You're okay
yeah.
to leave it on the agenda, okay. And what about the ACP?
from now on, we'll bring the capital?
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
You'll help me
Okay.
remember that, Donna, to bring those capital.
All right. So could I please get a motion to approve our consent agenda?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Great. All those in favor, I'll do roll call again. Mrs. Bruner?
Aye.
Ms. Love?
Aye.
Mrs. Marsden? Aye. Mr. Worth? Mr. Worth? Your vote? Your vote on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
Been a bad boy, I'm sorry.
Your teacher would get mad at you for talking in class. All right, we are now going to move on to our action items, and this evening we have the consideration and possible adoption of a resolution providing for all matters relating to the sale and issuance of school improvement bonds from 2019 Series B of 2021. Mrs. Berry.
All right, Madam President, members of the board, tonight we're asking you for consideration and a possible adoption of the resolution providing for all matters relating to the sale and issuance of school improvement bonds of the district, including delegation to the superintendent or the CFO of the district to determine certain matters related thereto. The resolution before the governing board authorizes the issuance of bonds of the district to raise funds for capital projects of the district. The Series 2020 bonds are the second sale of the 2019 election. The resolution authorizes the district administration to move forward with the steps needed to execute the bond transaction. The board's approval puts the district in a position to execute the transaction when the timing is right, considering the district's need for project dollars and the conditions in the tax-exempt bond market. At this time, the district is ready to sell the bonds. The professional finance team will analyze market conditions and will work with the district administration to execute the transactions in a manner that will minimize the district's bond interest costs. The district administration recommends flexibility to execute the transaction this fiscal year as we work to meet the district's needs for project funds, retiring an existing lease purchase, and determining an appropriate time to sell the bonds. Tonight we have Randy Stein here, who is with Stiefel. And Randy and Grant Hamill have done an excellent job of helping advise us on and recommending when to help sell our bonds. We have decided to sell our bonds for two main reasons. One, we want to make sure that we are able to pay off the interest costs with bond dollars versus using either maintenance and operations or district additional assistance. You're required by statute to use district additional assistance. You can either transfer funds from M&O over there or use your district additional assistance money. And because we have lost students, we think it would be wise to save those dollars and to pay off that amount before we have to make that interest payment in June. Also, the market is favorable for us, and so we can pay off our lease, which is around $35 million, and utilize the rest of the funds to help us with our projects over the next couple of years before we sell our last portion of the $290,250,000 worth of voter-approved bonds. And we're open for questions, myself or Randy Stein.
Thank you, Mrs. Berry. I guess we'll go ahead and get a motion to, to go ahead and adopt the resolution for selling bonds.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the adoption of a resolution providing for all matters relating to the sale and issuance of school improvement bonds in a not-to-exceed principal amount of $70 million.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. So we are open for questions and discussion. Do we have, Mrs. Bruner, do you have some questions?
I just had a general one. You made a reference to it, that it's favorable right now, and I was wondering if you could just explain that a little bit more in depth.
Sure, I think that the interest rates, and I'll let Randy explain a little bit more, but in my terms, the interest rates, I was talking to Mr. Hamill about it today and then Randy a little while ago, and interest rates are a little above 2.5%, and that's favorable for the district at this point. And so trying to save taxpayers' dollars by trying to take advantage of those interest rates at this point. Randy, would you like to expand on that anymore?
Randy Stein with Stiefel, the only thing that I would add is that the district is very highly rated and has always been well received in the market, and that will, in addition to the fact that market rates are low, that will assist you on the sale as well.
Thank you.
Ms. Love? Mr. Worth? Okay, I do have a couple of questions. So this is kind of, shall we say, a flexible timing thing for us, for the bonds, so that we could either sell them in the next couple of weeks, or we could also even wait till perhaps June. But it has to be done by the end of this fiscal year, which would be June 30th, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so what are we looking at, believing that there's going to be some inflation out there, that we might not be able to get the 2.5% rates?
Madam President, crystal ball is never perfect, just that disclaimer. Actually, what I have been reading and seeing from people who do a lot more studying on inflation, while of course that notion is out there because of the amount of money that is being infused into the economy, but apparently the prevailing thought is that that is still definitely a ways off, and we would not expect you to be seriously adversely impacted between now and June.
Okay. And I guess my last question has to do with if we go up to the 70 million, how is this going to be impacting our tax rates in the near future?
We actually were able to utilize Stiefel to help us with that, and we were able to keep it still at the amount that we put into our voter pamphlet. I think it'll be $1.28, which is approximately where we're at right now. So we're trying to keep that as flat as possible, especially because, to be honest, next year we have an override potentially on the ballot, or the following year. So we're trying to make sure that all of our tax rates stay as flat as possible for our community members, residential and commercial.
Okay, well, and we know that the property values are going up significantly all across the state, and so that's another thing that will probably end up actually lowering our rates for the district, and actually all across the state, I would imagine, with the prices of real estate at this point. And so I was just concerned that we weren't going to be going up on our rates, so.
And also the qualifying tax rate that was set by the legislature is going down, so that will ultimately help as assessed values go up. Just depends on how much assessed value goes up compared to the state qualifying tax rate. So once, we won't determine that now again until this summer, but
Okay.
we're going to try to make sure we maintain that. And that was our goal with Mrs. Stein and Grant Hamill, was to confirm, was to try to make sure we stayed at that tax rate and didn't exceed that, so that we could be favorable.
So Randy, assessed values of homes have really increased. Is that reflected in the current tax rate? The fact that the values of homes have gone up so much? But are we a year behind that curve? Is that reflected in there?
Madam President, Mr. Worth, a multifaceted question, yes. Clearly, you're correct that that home values have been increasing across the state, certainly in this part of the state. That proposition that was approved by the voters 117, that I think went into effect 5 years ago,
right.
actually for tax purposes only permits residential property, as an example, that has not changed from year to year to increase 5% year over year. So that stays pretty consistent in the type of market that we're in, where the full cash value of the house, or what we would sort of think of as the market value, what we might be able to sell it for, is increasing greater than that. That tax value never catches up to it in this kind of market.
Is that true for commercial?
It is true for locally assessed commercial, which is strip centers, warehouses, commercial buildings. It is not true for the big mine and utility properties.
Thank you.
Great. I think that's, if there's no other questions, we will go ahead and vote. I'll do a roll call. All those in favor of approval?
Can we do a motion?
Yes,
Okay.
we did. Yes, we did the motions for the consideration and possible adoption of a resolution for, relating to the bonds. All those, those in favor, please say aye. Ms. Bruner?
Aye.
Ms. Love?
Aye.
Ms. Marsden? Aye. Mr. Worth?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next, I appreciate, Randy, I appreciate you coming out tonight, and I know there's a lot of work that goes into creating all of this, all the paperwork and everything and approvals for the bonds, and I appreciate partnering with your company, with Stiefel, to be able to do this. You've been good partners for us, and we appreciate it.
We really appreciate the opportunity to work with Secretary District.
Thank you. Next, we have our information items, our student activity, auxiliary operations, and tax credit reports. Mrs. Berry.
Madam President, members of the board, the student activity, auxiliary operations, and tax credit reports for the months ending July of 2020 through February of 2021 are provided for your review. A few things you might note when you see a few negative numbers on the reports is sometimes there's some adjustments that have to take place, and I'll give you a couple examples. You might see, for example, Chandler High School's IB program that has a negative $11,000, and that's because they're still collecting money from kids who are paying, or they're waiting for the amount for our students who are on free and reduced to be reimbursed. There might be some tax credit that's coming through, so some of the times those are negative. Also, we have, for example, in one of our drama clubs, we had some expenses so that we could have the product be delivered, and ultimately we're streaming those, so some of that revenue is coming in once they're streamed. So there's a couple accounts that we're waiting on. There's a few accounts that are just under by a couple $100, and those were just an issue where the coach might have coded something out of an auxiliary account, should have came out of a tax credit account. So there's a few of those in there also, if you're looking at a negative amount. And Melissa Branting does a great job, her and the staff around her, of reconciling those each month, telling me which numbers are off, why we're off, and then how that's going to get fixed over the next month. So just a couple updates on that.
Great. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Mrs. Berry? All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have anthropology textbooks next. Dr. Gilbert.
Madam President, members of the board, for your information, physical anthropology and cultural anthropology are 2 semester-long electives that will be offered to students in the 2021-22 academic year. Each course has a separate textbook and has been vetted by teachers and academic coaches. The committee is recommending the following 2 textbooks to move forward in the textbook adoption process. For physical anthropology and archaeology, which is Understanding Humans, Introduction to Physical Anthropology and Archaeology by Cengage. Cultural Anthropology and Linguistics, that book is Anthropology Appreciating Human Diversity by McGraw-Hill. Each textbook provides an in-depth analysis of the core components of anthropology. They provide students with multi-perspectives and a variety of case studies. Students will be challenged by critical thinking questions and exploring the world around them. The cost of the 2 textbooks is $9,254.56, including estimated tax, shipping, and processing. There are no digital components to this purchase. This will be funded by the site. So Understanding Humans, Introduction to Physical Anthropology and Archaeology by Cengage would be $4,950. Anthropology, Appreciating Human Diversity by McGraw-Hill would be $4,304.56. In accordance with ARS 15721, the textbooks will be placed on display for 60-day review period for a comment at the Melinda Romero Instructional Resource Center starting March 11th, 2021. After the 60-day review period for public comments, the curriculum will be presented to the governing board for approval. The school that this would start at would be Castile High School.
Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. How can, if somebody wants to review this, do they need to make an appointment over at the Melinda Romero?
They would make an appointment, yes, at the Melinda Romero Instructional Resource Center, and they would be able to view it.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Next, we'll go to our, thank you, Dr. Gilbert. Next, we'll go to our board agenda roadmap. It looks like our next meeting is March 24th, and we will be looking at a study session for our outstanding students relating to elementary assessments. And
Madam President, would it be appropriate to ask at this time about a possible short meeting after the interim superintendent interviews have finished to get that word out a little quicker to the district to start working on a transition instead of waiting the 2.5 weeks?
At this point, we have the interview set up, and we also have a second meeting as a potential on that Saturday if we need it. I think that we probably could utilize, that time as long as we knew what we were doing. So I personally, I don't see that we would probably need to set up another one at this point to be able to, announce or do whatever. So I think that maybe, I know that I wanted to keep both dates open just in case we needed them for something, because it's sometimes difficult to get us all together on, other than the regular scheduled board meetings. So that's kind of our little slip date or date to be able to do something like whatever we need to do.
27th, you mean the
Correct.
Saturday?
Yes.
And I agree with that. I was just wondering if maybe the next week we could meet just, even if it's virtually, just to make it official, whatever the decision is, so that gives the district 2 more weeks of time to.
Can we discuss that at a future time at this point?
Okay.
Since we don't really know exactly what's going to happen with the interviews at this point. But maybe we can just kind of tell everybody to perhaps pencil something in, and if we need to do it, we can make that decision either that Thursday of the interviews or the Saturday. And what date were you proposing at this point?
I'm pretty open, but I was thinking the next week after that Saturday that we would have final deliberations.
Which would be April.
So 29th, 30th, 1st of
That'd be the
April.
31st.
Or
type thing.
31st, yeah.
If we'd like to keep to Wednesdays, but, we could all pencil it in and see at this point, but I think actually putting it on a calendar quite yet might be a little premature.
Well, I pencil that in. Do we have a specific time that we want to?
I would say it's the same type of thing that as we do on regular board meetings. If we would need it, would be either like a 5 o'clock or a 7 o'clock, whatever. 5 o'clock would probably be easiest, but if
I'm
possible.
just going to put it into my calendar.
But it's TBDA or TBD.
I do have a question.
Yes.
And just getting educated. So the red, is that the pillars within the 2025?
Yes.
Okay. So what's an M&C agreement? Okay.
Meet and confer. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Should have been
it'd be nice
super
to check
cute.
that out, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And let's see if I had any other. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
I just had kind of like a plug about the ASBA Equity event that's coming up virtually. It's on the agenda. It's the 21st through the 23rd. They've got some phenomenal speakers. So if y'all haven't signed up yet and you have some time, please consider attending that. It was wonderful last year. We were, I think, in person at that point. The last one I attended in person, and it was wonderful. And this one looks even more wonderful. So,
And that is April 21st. Okay. Just want to confirm on that. All right. If there's nothing else on our roadmap, we will go on to superintendent comments. Dr. Castillo.
Thank you, President, members of the school board. We held our second CUSD Educators COVID-19 Vaccine Pod this last Saturday at Hamilton and Perry High, and it was extremely successful. We serviced more than 2,000. I think it was closer to 2,600, if I'm not mistaken, of our employees and surrounding people. Other teachers from other educators from other districts could come. I just need to thank the cabinet. They were all involved in making this happen. A special thanks to Ken James. He was the site lead at Hamilton, and Frank Fletcher was the site lead, spent the entire day out there at Perry High. So thank you. Special thanks to the two of them. We serviced, as I said, more than 2,600, and I want to thank publicly the Core Construction, Chase Building, McCarthy Building Companies, and Concord Construction. They provided the equipment, the materials that we needed, the tents. They provided lunch for the volunteers, and really not only saved us significant dollars, but just have been very supportive of both events. We know that this has been a challenging year, and it's always kind of fun to share some success stories given the challenges we've had. And we continue to share these and tweet these out and Facebook them out. So I'm hoping if you're not signed up following us that you would. But we just want to spotlight a few that have just come in. The week, Arizona College Prep Erie campus won the AIA Speech and Debate state title for the second straight year, and they are so excited about it. Perry High was selected for their one-act play called The Trojan Women by the Arizona Thespian Association to represent the state of Arizona in a national competition. In the athletic arena, Basha High, as our student body president shared, they won the first ever AIA Girls Wrestling State Championship over the weekend. It's the first state championship they've had, and they were very, very excited. And Hamilton High's POM team won the AIA Varsity Spirit Line State Championship in the large jazz category. So once again, most of our teams are in the playoffs for soccer and basketball, so we're wishing them good luck. I think it's meant a lot to the young people to be able to engage in those activities and regain some of their mental health, and so it's just been fun watching them be successful. I want to have a special thanks. Just happened this afternoon. The Arizona Rangers of Sun Lakes, they delivered more than 2,000 masks, and they're so cute. These are for students, some really cute ones. Our fashionista, Mrs. Nance, would probably be a little jealous. Over 2,000 of these masks, and they were donated by Dick's Sporting Goods, I believe, and they were delivering them, and just absolutely delightful gentlemen, and we just so appreciate the community support. The Chandler Education Foundation is closing in on their winner's circle. I probably find a few raffle tickets if anybody out there hasn't purchased theirs. You can go online and purchase them. Again, this is for our Impact Chandler Scholarship Program. Speaking of the board, the scholarship that I give in your name, you will be selecting the winner of that in the very near future. And finally, as you know, circumstances of the pandemic caused us to reduce our 2-week spring break to one week. In some respects, we delayed the start of school year, and I think the 1 week is probably a blessing that we don't all get carried away. the 1 week, I'm just hoping and praying that our community and our teachers get the much-needed rest and just stay cautious. It's not time to let up at this point. So the district office will be open, and our schools will be closed. So we're here if you need us, and again, to the community, we wish you a wonderful, safe, and restful spring break. Thank you, Madam
Am I allowed
President.
to comment on what she said? A compliment.
We have board member
turn.
recognition and comments, so I will recognize
Oh,
you,
okay.
Mr.
I
Worth,
just- the
as
event-
the next speaker.
I apologize to the rest of the
That's
board. I was
okay.
just so impressed with how Perry was set up and how well that flowed. It just was very, very impressive, very impressive.
Thank you. You mean the pods?
Yeah, the vaccine.
Both of them were
the
just
vaccine.
beautifully done.
And do I get to go on spring break as a board member?
We wish you would.
I deserve that.
I guess I shouldn't be as familiar with you as.
I deserve it.
We hope all the board members go on a spring break. That allows us to have one. But Mrs. Bruner's already been on her spring break, so.
Do any other board members have any comments? Yes, Ms. Love.
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize that it is Social Work Appreciation Month. So I just wanted to give a nod to our district social workers. They too have been working hard during this pandemic. For those of you who don't know, social workers never get a day off, and we have been working triple time during this pandemic. So just giving that nod to our district social workers who have been working in full force, no breaks. We don't sleep. I say we collectively as a field, we don't sleep. And also to our other district counselors and psychologists, you guys have been putting in the work too. And I appreciate you, and I know that other members of the board appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Ms. Love. Mrs. Bruner?
Yeah, I just had two things. First, as a member of the governing board, I just wanted to publicly request that our state representatives and governor speak to all the professionals that work in the school district when making decisions on various bills, especially ones that require us to post every single thing that we do with our students a year in advance. And secondly, I wanted to thank all the folks at Willis Junior High today that I got to speak with, and all the amazing things that, every staff member there, it's such a amazing team. And I just appreciate so much what they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bruner. I also wanted to make a comment, but this time, since I decided to go just visit Hamilton during the pod and see what was going on. And I was truly amazed at how efficient and how quickly the people who were getting vaccinated were moving through the lines. And additionally, later that day, I had a number of people who I knew who were going through and getting their immunizations say, you know what, the site worked even better the second time, and they learned from the first, and it was so smooth, and we were just very, very impressed. So I'm just very grateful that Mr. Rother was able to work with the county and make sure that we were able to get these vaccinations for our staff, and we truly appreciate it to help, that this truly helps keep our community safe. So thank you very much. If there's no other questions or comments, this meeting is adjourned. We'll see you in 2 weeks.